Good day, everyone. In this video, we will be talking about another topic which is under the unpacking the self, and that is the political self. And our objectives are the following. We will identify the factors influencing the political participation. We will develop a more critical political standpoint for ourselves by analyzing different political theories. And lastly, to articulate how an individual develops a shared national political identity. So, first things first, let us first discuss, I mean, talk in details what are the different topics that we will be discussing in this lesson. So we will be talking about the meaning of political self, of course, and then we will be dealing with Filipino identity and Filipino values. Also, we will be discussing about political behavior, and lastly, we will be talking about leadership and the theories of leadership. So, there. Now we are going to talk about the meaning of political self. So, what do we mean exactly by political self? So, when we say political self, actually, it expresses how social and economic contexts profoundly affect the mental health and well being of a person. And also, in connection to political self, we need to know what politics is. So, politics is a process of making decisions that applies to all members of a group or a community, and it has something to do with the ability to govern and control over a group. It can influence others by actually making a decision for them. So, in knowing fully one's political self, it is significant that we have to fully establish our identity, and we need to absolutely know the totality of our personality. So, what exactly is the difference between our identity and personality? So, guys, when we talk about identity, it refers to the condition of being the same with or possessing a character that is well described, ascertained, or defined. And when we say personality, it is the organized pattern of our behaviors and attitudes that makes us a human being distinctive. So, personality is actually formed by ongoing interaction of temperament, character, and also with our environment. Now, for the political self, is the conceptually discrete categories of our inner and outer in reality that is constantly interacting and shaping and informing each other, and also it reflects on one's own selfhood in relation to his or her national identity. So when we say political self, it has something to do with our entire social organization. So what do we mean by social organization? Social organization is basically how we relate ourselves to our environment, such as the institutions or the subgroups in which we are belonging to. So these are actually our religion, race, our nationality, even our language, as well as our culture and our gender identity has something to do with our social organization, which is, of course, a very important part of knowing our political self. So it means that we are not the only ones being molded by our surrounding, but at the same time our social surroundings are formed by how our government leaders governed us by giving us laws, rules, policies that dictates our actions as to which are actually proper and right, which are acceptable and acceptable behaviors, and which are prohibited acts that are considered to be felonious in nature, and also it is considered felonious in nature because it will cause disturbance or nuisance or even hazardous to the general public. And so our law prohibits the said actions or prohibit such behavior. So we come up with a general social agreement to act accordingly, regardless of one's ethnicity, religion, gender, or culture, in order for the general public to have a wholesome environment, at the same time to have a safe and secured environment. Okay, and this is for all of us, of course, belonging to this particular social organization or belonging to this nation as a whole. Okay, so the moment that we were born, okay, we are already being nurtured. I know you know that. We are being molded and we are being shaped by all these uh, by all these parts of our social organization. And so we are also being given an identity. So one's political self actually is already in effect the very moment that we are born. So once given birth, we are automatically being given a citizenship. So our citizenship is actually based on the law that governs in the country where we were born. So, of course, since we are Filipinos, the laws that governs our citizenship is the Philippine laws. So, in the Philippines, we follow the jus sanguinis, wherein our citizenship is based on the blood that runs through our veins. And so we automatically inherit the citizenship of our parents. So that is acquiring first our identity as a Filipino through being a Filipino citizen. Now, let us elaborate further what are or what is actually the Filipino identity, what are the Filipino culture and values also. So, guys, in when we talk about Filipino identity, the Filipino identity actually was created primarily as a result of pre-colonial cultures. Um, these are part of the colonial influences and foreign traders intermixing and gradually evolving, because we all know that we have been colonized with various colonizers. We have been colonized by the Japanese, by the Spaniards, and also by the Americans. And so, Filipino identity is an intermix of different cultures and values based on those we have inherited and those that are being influenced by us, by our colonizers. So, when we talk about Filipino culture and values, actually, there is a complexity on that one, according to Virgilio G. Enriquez, who is a social psychologist and he is known as the father of Filipino psychology. He said that the complexity of Filipino culture is compounded as this has been exposed to continuous and various streams of cultures from um, without, and then these influences were not possibly absorbed into the Filipino culture but acquired through a very selective way, and this process is what we call as acculturation, varied from region to region. And also, these practices and beliefs have been acquired from generation, passed on to the next generation, and have been integrated in the personality of all the Filipinos. So let us move forward and let us now talk about the Filipino traits and other values. So, what are the distinct Filipino traits that make us stand out or make us distinguishable from other nationality or citizenship? So, when we say Filipino traits and values, okay. So first things first. Let us distinguish what's the difference between traits and values, guys. So, to be clear, when we say traits, it has something to do, or it is referred to a distinguishing characteristics, typically one belonging to a person. And then when we say values, values is the regard of that something is held to deserve, and also important and lasting beliefs or ideals that is being shared by the members of a particular culture about what is good and what is not, and what is desirable or what is undesirable. So when we say Filipino cultures and values, the following are the most distinctive uh, traits and values of Filipinos. So, in making decisions, they usually consult and take into considerations the agreement of the family members, as the feeling of those of those family members are to be affected. So you see, in our previous lessons, we were talking about our Filipino cultures, and one of that is having this very close family ties, right? And also we put a high regard to our elders, to our grandparents, and then to our parents. And so their opinions is very much of high significance for us. And so we always consider their say and everything before we make a decision. And in social status, Filipino give more emphasis on social relationships. They engage themselves in mutual cooperation, which is the best pictured through bayanihan. So we have this strong sense of pakiki kapwa there. So we always establish a good relationship with our community members. Now, in terms of emotion, Filipinos are unsurprisingly friendly and happy and very jolly, or almost all the time. And that we are so known to the world that we are the most patient, and we are the most how would this one yeah, very happy, because we have this very good way of keeping our demeanor, that even if we are already breaking inside and we are so hurt, but we still have this strength to smile and show to the world that we are okay and we are happy. That is how resilient we Filipinos are, and that is how strong and even courageous we are. So according to Felipe M. De Leon Jr., he said that this achieved maturity among Filipinos is through social integration, hence considered as masters of interpersonal skills. So Filipinos are exceedingly active and creative in interpersonal relationships, social interactions, and social proving, and always seeking and exploring ways of harmonizing and connecting with others. Now, another important values, and has something to do with politics, because politics is subjective matter to talk about, but culture and values could help us discover our contribution to what kind of government and to what kind of government officials we have right now. So, according to Professor Felipe M. Dilion Jr., who wrote Understanding the Filipino Values, in his work, he pointed out the five top clusters of leaders that Filipino follows. So, number one is the makatao, which means the nurturant qualities. And then, second is the matapat, and also makadios. When we say matapat, it means upright, and of course, makadios is God centered. And then we have malakas ang loob, which means very courageous. And of course, it's not just being courageous, it has also something to do with a strong political will. And that is to lead and govern the country, of course. And then fourth, we have the makatarungan, demokratiko, pantay-pantay. Of course, when we say makatarungan, it has something to do with being fair and being just. Okay. And take note, guys, that there's a big difference between fair and just, because when you say fair, you give everyone its due, you give them half and half. But when you say you are just, then you give more to those who have less, and that is being just. Like, um your friend, let's say you have two good friends, two close friends, then one friend of yours is of course needing, but the other friend of yours needs more. And so because you are fair and you are just, perhaps you will be giving your friend one sack of rice, and then the other friend of yours who is needing more, you would give him one sack of rice plus perhaps 5,000 cash as a spare. Why? Because you are just. You see to it that you share your blessings, at the same time you give more to those who are needing more, or to those who have less, and that is being fair and just. Now, let's talk about the last one. And according to Professor Felipe M. Dilion, that is magaling and marunong. So when we say magaling, it has something to do with your intelligence and with your capacity, and that you are not just intelligent, you are not just brilliant, but you are capable and able in leading the country, or in exercising your authority and power with just, okay, and with fairness also. So those are the strong, or I mean, the five clusters of leaders, according to Professor Felipe M. Dilian.
Hi guys, please like and subscribe my YouTube channel.
Now, let us move forward and let us talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the Filipino character. So, what are those strengths that we have, and what are those weaknesses that we have? Um, Based on our nationality. No, I mean based on the traits and the values that we have as Filipinos. So according to John Asuncion, okay, he described that sincere leader produces sincere followers. So when our president steals from public funds, it automatically means that the greediness will cascade from top to the bottom. So from national government down to the barangays, destroying the political culture and, of course, the nation as a whole. So Asuncion enumerated some of our traits that could be our strength and also our weaknesses as a Filipino leader, or even just as an ordinary Filipino citizen. So first he said about the utang na loob. Okay, so when we say utang na loob, guys, it means our debt of gratitude or will, and this traits is at the core of corruption. For this prevents the mind from siding as to uh, the ideals of common good, but rather it reduces to side with things or with people whom the political Filipinos or the political leaders are indebted. So when one sits in the throne and when he is given the authority to lead, let's say for instance to hire and fire also, then they would most probably hire or appoint someone in whom they owed favor with, instead of hiring or putting someone who's very much qualified and who is most capable for the job. And that is because they would rationalize that one, or they would reason that I would hire you because I owe you a debt. And so we Filipinos, we are not like the Americans. Like when the Americans, when they say I owe you one, and then when they would pay the favor, then it's done. It's over. Okay, it's being dealt with. But for us Filipinos, when we owe someone favor, it's like we will carry that debt until the day we die, and that is so disappointing, and that is really not a good traits or virtue or value for us being for us Filipinos rather. So another is that what we so call as crab mentality. So what do we mean by crab mentality? This is very common practice among Filipinos. Okay, Filipino as I am ashamed that we have this kind of mentality that we pull each other down out of envy. This is what divides us as Filipino, and this prevents us from building a progressive nation. Why? Because out of jealousy, we pull him down instead of supporting him or pushing him up and working together as a Filipino nation. So basically, you can see that, and that is actually happening right now. Most especially that election is in the air. It's in on May next year, May 2020, and our presidentials, okay, our candidates for presidents, instead of stating their platform, instead of stating what they can do for our country, what they are doing now, okay, not just our presidential balls, including our local candidates for any positions like Congress, like mayors, or even governors. What they do now is they are slinging. Okay, they are doing this character assassinations. Like they would throw mud and they will ruin your name instead of building their own name, and instead of showing to the people what they can do for the country, what they could do as a leader. So that is a very, very sad thing that is happening in our country right now. So I hope you guys would, make a good sense of our lesson, and that you would apply what we are discussing here in choosing our leader for the next election. I hope that you could do better, and I hope that you would not just really settle for who is famous, but you would definitely vote wisely. Okay. So another is that what we call as ningas kugun, or ningas kugun, which is a total retreat after taking already a few steps. Okay. And another is the manana habit. Okay. What do you mean by manana habit? This is procrastinating. This is pushing everything for tomorrow instead of doing what you can do today, wherein it could impede really our country's progress, and in specific it could also hinder our personal progress because we keep on delaying things which we could have done today. And lastly, hiya, which means shyness. Okay, so being shy or being coy is something that we cannot prevent. Okay, some of us are really, really that coy. We are really that introvert because of, we talk about this already when we talk about the things that are affecting our personality. But in this case, hiya or shyness is different. This is what we call as a false modesty or an expression of inferiority. And so because you are too shy, you wouldn't do something for yourself, or because you are afraid of hurting someone, okay, then you would just, act shy. You will just show your false modesty, and which is exactly and totally not good at all. Okay, so another thing is the Filipino strengths. So according to Asuncion, one of the strength being a Filipino is the strong strength of our orientation towards our family. So over and over again, I keep on saying this, that Filipino always stay together even after years of, staying abroad. Filipino will always come back home, and it's because we have a strong sense of loyalty to our family. We even to our extended family, even to our relatives. So we really would love to come home to our country, regardless as to wherever we have been. Okay. Now another is the utang na loob. I've mentioned it already. The depth of gratitude, it is good because we show thankfulness looking back to people and place that have helped and touched our lives. Okay, it is very good, but if we will exercise that one in an extreme manner, and so it becomes our weakness based on what I have just mentioned a while ago. Then another is pakikisama or social flexibility. Filipinos always strive for harmony, and we are always looking for ways in making a good interpersonal relationship with each other and even to other nationalities. In fact, we are very hospitable, and we are so known about being good in welcoming other nationalities or any guests. Okay, so another is that we have this another strength that we have is endurance. Okay, so we know already that Filipinos are very flexible or pliant like a bamboo, and that even how much we struggle, we Filipinos became strong, and we could handle difficult situations over an extended period of time because we have this endurance to we have this strength to endure everything, and especially because we endure things because we do it out of love. It could be out for the love of ourself, or most especially for the love of our family. So those are the different Filipino traits and Filipino values and characters that we generally have or share as a Filipinos.